Okay. Welcome to the Clermont County Board of Commissioners meeting, this 16th day of September. Prior to the official start of our meeting, we always invite local clergy to be here with us this morning to lead us in prayer. This morning's no exception. Rex Sherlock is here. He is a repeat person that comes and leads us in prayer many times. Thank you for continuing to do that. And Rex, the podium is yours. If you'd lead us. Thank you.
Thank you for the honor and the privilege of doing it. Let us pray. Father, in accordance with your word in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 through 3, you said, I urge then, first of all, that petition, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and for all those in authority, that we may live peaceably and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. This is good and pleases God, our Savior, who wants all people to be saved and to come to the knowledge of truth. Lord, in that order, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. And we pray, Father, that all people will be saved and come to the knowledge of truth. And I pray for our governmental leaders and all those who are in authority, Lord, the county commissioners, the township trustees, mayors, city councils, board of educations. Father, I just thank you that in your word, in the Proverbs, it says the king's heart is like channels of water in the hand of the Lord. He turns it whenever he wishes. So, Father, I'm just praying that you will guide these elected officials and those who have been appointed, that in their decisions and the actions, that they might fulfill your purposes and give honor and glory to you, that, Lord, they would be very sensitive to your leading, to your voice, to the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Because in James 3:17, it says, we ask you to give them wisdom from above, that is, first of all, pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Father, provide that righteous, honest, God-fearing leaders and influencers that we have and that we continue to have come into those positions. Cause them to turn to you and honor you as the source of their wisdom and peace. And Lord, I just pray that with the elections that are coming up, that Lord, you would raise up righteous, wise, and God-fearing people to govern us and put down the wicked. Father, we just pray that you would cleanse our cities and city government of unrighteousness and of unrighteous decisions and dealings. And Father, we just pray that, for you said that in Ecclesiastes 12:14, for God will bring every deed to judgment and including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. And so we just pray in the name of Jesus that we stand for righteousness in our cities and county and against every evil and all corruption. And Father, just bless us as a county and let us be a county that others look to and seeing that we are progressive, that we go forth, and that, Lord, we don't stay and looking in a rearview mirror, but Lord, we continue to look out the windshield of the future. And we thank you for that, and we praise you for that in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
And now to officially start our meeting, if you join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome to the Board of Commissioners meeting on this beautiful morning, and we'll get right started with the agenda. But prior to starting the agenda, I just wanted to say good morning to Commissioner Humphrey. He is on by virtual reality from a separate location than here at the county. Good morning, Ed.
He's muted.
Ed, you might be muted.
No idea.
Nope.
Yes, I was. Just
There you go.
I'm on now.
There you
Thank you very
go. Go ahead. I was just acknowledging that you've joined us by virtual reality. However, we have seen you this morning in a land viewing for vacation this morning.
Yes, sir.
And I'll move right on with the agenda to B, approval of regular session minutes for September 9th, 2020. Board, I know you've had these minutes in advance, had an opportunity to review them. have any questions resolved or revisions made. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of 9/9/2020?
So moved.
A second.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. I will move to item number C. I understand we have a presentation this morning from Horan Associates. Allison Storm, the account manager, recommendations for Clermont County employees concerning healthcare benefits for calendar year 2021. Allison, are you with us this morning?
I sure am. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. And I understand you've prepared a slide presentation and we all have a copy of it here. And I assume you're going to share your screen.
That is correct. So let me pull up my screen here. All right. Can everybody see that screen okay?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Well, good morning. I know we had met a couple weeks ago, but just to reintroduce myself, I am Allison Strom. I am an account manager at Horan. So I work very closely with your team, along with, the Horan team with Steve Ash to help with the overall benefit strategy and want to provide a renewal update this morning, specifically more on the recommendations for the 2021 benefits plan. Today, we want to go over just the overall renewal process. I know we have met a few times with just updates to that process, so give you a better glance of where we are today, talk through contribution strategies for employees, give you a little bit more insight on benchmarking data, and then talk about a few other strategies we have in regards to the pharmacy and medical plan, and then overall give you the recommendations that the HR team and the Healthcare Advisory Committee wanted to share with you today. The first thing I wanted to mention is just where we are with the update and the renewal process. As you recall, last time we met, we discussed the request for proposal update. Horan had received 6 carrier responses to that RFP. Of those, the top 2 finalists were the incumbents, so UHC and OptumRx, and then Aetna. As we did mention, the admin fees will remain flat through UHC if we decided to go with United Healthcare. The 3rd year of that rate guarantee, they would slightly go up, but very minimally. With Aetna, they did give us a 3-year rate guarantee as well, much lower than where we are with United Healthcare right now, making their initial proposal seem very competitive. We also wanted to look under the hood and just see, from a provider disruption standpoint, how many of our claimants would feel that disruption and seeing if their doctor was in network or out of network. Upon that review, majority of all doctors or physicians that your current members see would actually be in network through Aetna, so it made it seem even more enticing. However, as we continue to look under that hood, as I mentioned, we also wanted to do a discount disruption. Essentially what that is just the difference of the charge rate for healthcare services and the contractually reimbursement rate. So when we looked at that, compared it from, what the discounts are with United Healthcare compared to what they are with Aetna, we found out that the discounts through United Healthcare are significantly stronger than the Aetna discounts. It came out to be about $750,000 stronger. So as you can see on this chart below, our final basically recommendation when it comes to the carrier, we are seeing that the United Healthcare renewal is going to seem much stronger from a financial and contractual standpoint compared to Aetna. So we added in that $755,000 to the overall total cost comparison from Aetna and Aetna and United Healthcare shown below.
So it says Sun Life. Does it really mean United Healthcare?
Yep, so renewal with Sun Life. So Sun Life would be the potential stop-loss carrier. That is your incumbent, so the current Sun Life stop-loss carrier. And then with Aetna, if we did move with Aetna, it would be their stop-loss carrier, is what we were showing there.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
No problem. So just comparing the two, looking at the overall total cost increase in 2021, keep staying with United Healthcare and including that Sun Life stop loss right now, what the renewal is, it's at a 9.1% increase compared to that Aetna, which would be a 12.3% increase. So that being said, as we continue to evaluate the 2021 renewal, this slide will show you if we stayed with United Healthcare and Optum Rx, what potential increase are we facing? What we did include, and I know we talked briefly about it last time, is the Sun Life stop loss renewal that we received was about a 40% increase. We have received competitive data in the market from other stop loss carriers. And so because of this, we are assuming a 10% stop loss increase. This is illustrative as they do want to see August data in order to firm up that stop loss. However, from what we've seen in the market and what we've seen with the August claims data, we are assuming that that would be a 10% increase. We've seen even more competitive than that, so we are taking a conservative approach, but are using that 10% illustrated stop loss increase on this chart to give you where we are expecting that 2021 total increase to be. You can see at the bottom here that would be an overall 6.9% increase, a little over a $920,000 increase. As we continue to evaluate, that's what the total increase is right now. We wanted to look and do a little bit more research on if we changed plan designs and evaluated where we are right now and looked at different options, what would happen to that whole percentage change from current. As you can see here, we did evaluate 3 different options. Option number 1 would be to change to a coinsurance option. So as of right now, and we'll go into this in the next slide, but we are at 100% coinsurance, which ultimately means that after every service, after somebody reaches their deductible, there's no liability on the member to pay anything additional. Right now, the deductible is at a $3,000 for single and a $4,000 for family. So that being said, there is currently somewhat of coinsurance, but it is only for the tiering specialist. So if a member goes to a tier 2 provider, they would pay an $80 copay, which would apply to the out-of-pocket maximum. So we'll go into this a little bit more in the next slide, but option 1 is just essentially saying that we would move for any service after somebody hits their deductible, they would pay 10% of that charge to get to the out-of-pocket maximum. As you can see here, the savings for making this plan change would ultimately change the increase from about that $920,000 to $621,000. Option 2 and option 3, essentially what we're seeing here is if we did decide to just increase that deductible. So you can see that option 2, we would increase it by $500 for single and $1,000 for family. Option number 1, we would increase the single by $1,000 and then the family by $2,000.
That's option 3.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So as I discussed on that first slide, when we evaluate all of the different plan changes, looking at all 3 of those and having conversations with HR and the Healthcare Advisory Committee, we have recommended the following update on the high deductible health plan. So evaluating those and seeing, which one would have the least member disruption and impact, we believe that the coinsurance option would be the best option. As you can see here, looking at the current high deductible health plan and looking at the proposed high deductible health plan, there would be no changes to the deductible or the out-of-pocket maximum will remain the same. That's shown at the bottom of the chart here. Essentially, what is happening is that coinsurance would change from 100% to that 90-10%. Then the only other difference, as I mentioned on the last slide, currently, if somebody goes to a non-tier physician, they pay an $80 copay after they've hit their deductible. that would be going away, and that any service after the deductible, members would pay a 10% charge to get to that out-of-pocket maximum. Currently, right now, there's only been 34 members who have hit that deductible and have paid that non-tier $80 copay. So as we evaluate and look at the different options, we do feel like this would have the least member impact. However, it does provide a good chunk of savings for the county. The bottom of here will show you that the revised renewal increase, showing with that illustrative 10% stop loss increase, would provide the county a 4.6% increase to the total 2021 medical renewal. Any questions on this slide? The next option and strategy that we evaluated is when we looked at the tobacco surcharge. Currently, the county does have a tobacco surcharge in place, just meaning that members who do utilize tobacco pay a $10 surcharge per month. The tobacco group, as we evaluated with United Healthcare, is currently running about 14% higher than that non-tobacco population. Overall, Horan's book of business sees an average tobacco surcharge amount ranging from about $50 to $60 per month. As we continue to evaluate the strategies of the county, we do feel like increasing that surcharge from $10 a month to $50 per month would hopefully help with an overall impact to health and well-being and potential increase to the financial option to the county. If we did increase the surcharge, we would certainly want to make sure that there were strategies in place for people who do utilize tobacco to have tobacco cessation programming and ensure that they have, options to help stopping the tobacco utilization, which we will talk about later on in the slide. So that being said, this slide is going to show you United Healthcare has a tobacco cessation program. Right now, most tobacco cessation prescriptions are covered at no member cost share. So that is one thing that members currently have available to them, that they get those tobacco cessation medication drugs for free. We want to enhance the programming surrounding that. And if we are going to increase that surcharge, we wanted to provide another cessation program in case the members would want to utilize that. UHC's Quit for Life program is evidence-based and has seen a lot of success among our book of business. Essentially, employees receive all sorts of services through Quit for Life, including a quit coach, a quit guide, a text to quit, so they have somebody to talk to at their fingertips on their mobile device. They have a quit guide or essentially a concierge service to help them through the process of quitting. Through the renewal process, United Healthcare has provided a $50,000 wellness budget, which will certainly cover the cessation program. This would be a pay-for-participant type of program. So per participant, it would cost $429 on an annual basis. So that $50,000 wellness budget would help subsidize this program.
And if a tobacco user quits using, the following year they wouldn't have a surcharge?
You are correct. That is correct.
Okay. So we'd be investing $429 to help them save $600.
Correct. So they would save that surcharge money. And overall, as we talked about on the last slide, as we look at the non-tobacco population compared to the tobacco population, overall, we just want your members to be healthy. And looking at the difference, they are costing a little bit more. And so as much as we can help their overall, healthy lifestyle, hopefully that would help in the long run as well.
Okay.
All right. So moving on and talking about some scenarios when it comes to employee contributions. We have 3 scenarios here we would like to share with you. All of these scenarios are going to be based on staying with United Healthcare, that assumption of the 10% stop loss increase, and that 90-10 coinsurance plan. So overall, looking at that 4.6 increase to 2021 medical renewal. This first contribution scenario would be essentially if the employee contributions per pay stayed exactly the same as where they are today. As you can see here at the top of the slide, we're showing the PPO and the high deductible health plan contributions. At the bottom of this slide, you can see the overall employer cost share and the increase that the county would be faced with the 2021 renewal if employee contributions remained the same. It would be a 5.5% increase to where they are currently. We also included the increase to the tobacco surcharge, assuming the same participation that we have today, as well as the spousal surcharge. And then at the bottom there, you can see the total employee cost increase, as well as the total employer or the county cost increase. On the next page here, this will show you if the employee percentage increase, the contribution, remain the same for both plans. So essentially what the percentage of the share of the increase that they pay currently right now, it would be the same in 2021. The top of the slide will show you the increase or the change to the employee contribution. So for example, on the PPO plan, the single plan would increase $2.03, and the single plan on the high deductible health plan would increase $1.30. The bottom of the screen will show you the increased employee and the county cost. So you can see that the employees would have a little bit more skin in the game if they did have this increase. It would be overall a 4.5% change from current. That equates to about $98,000 that the employees would be paying. And then the county would be paying around $523,000 of that total increase. The last scenario here is something that we discussed with the Healthcare Advisory Committee as well. And the reason we came to this strategy is because looking at the plan design change, we did move to that 90-10 coinsurance option. Obviously, the high deductible health plan would change slightly, hopefully not have too much of a member impact, but because it is changing slightly, we wanted to provide a scenario showing if the high deductible plan had the same employee contribution amount as today, but the PPO plan had the same employee percentage contribution. So it would increase like we talked about on the last slide, but the high deductible health plan would stay the same as it is today in 2020. So that being said, you can see here that the PPO plan would have that rate change of about $2 per single, and then, increase depending on that coverage tier. But the high deductible health plan would remain the same. You can see at the bottom here, the employee cost increase would change to about 3%. It's the $65,000 change. And the county cost would increase to 4.9% and take on about $556,000 of that increase. I believe we've talked about benchmarking in the past, but it's always good to reevaluate and ensure, where we are as a county compared to the industry as a whole. As you can see, this is showing the high deductible health plan premiums and the total plan cost. The employee cost share is well below benchmarks of what we're seeing in your industry. So you can see on the far left-hand side will be the total plan cost, and the employee cost share on the far right-hand side would show you, just the employee premiums and show how those are well below the benchmarks as of today. The next slide will show you the PPO premiums. So as you can see, the employee cost share is still well below the benchmark for the PPO plan. Like I said on the last slide, the total plan cost is on the far left-hand side, and then the employee cost share is on the far right-hand side. You can see they're significantly lower and just show, the richness of the county plans when it comes to contributions. All right, as we discussed in the agenda, we did want to talk about other plan enhancements, things to just help with your membership overall health and well-being and the future of their lifestyle. The first thing is a pharmacy strategy. As we know, pharmacy is increasing, the spend is increasing, not only for the county, but we're seeing it overall in our book of business. One of the areas that is causing the increase is when we look at the chronic conditions. Members with chronic conditions for the county drive 71% of total claims, and from a norm standpoint, we are seeing that to be 60%. Additionally, when we look at your overall chronic members, we want to ensure that they're going to their primary care physician and that they're, adhering to medications or making sure that they're doing what would be right for a healthy lifestyle. One thing that we feel like would help with this chronic population is to implement Optum Rx's diabetes management program. This is a new program that Optum Rx is rolling out, but essentially they're seeing in their overall book of business how much more expensive high-risk diabetics might be on the plan. These high-risk diabetics might not even understand that their diabetes is not necessarily out of control, but more high risk than where it should be. So when we look at that, we also see that 31% of the pharmacy plan paid attributes to diabetic members, which is a good significant amount of the population. The diabetes management program, essentially what it does is it's going to provide targeted outreach to improve medication adherence and basically be a concierge service for these diabetics. A lot of, when we look at chronic conditions, diabetes typically seems to be the top of all the different chronic conditions, and making sure that we get ahead of that and making sure we provide that concierge model to your diabetics will certainly help the future of the chronic condition spend. So as I mentioned, the medication adherence, essentially meaning making sure they're taking their medication on an ongoing basis. Provide them education on, healthy tips or lifestyle tips to ensure that they're doing those things to keep their diabetes under control. Looking at this program, we feel like it certainly could help this population. Obviously, implementing a program such as this, there would be a charge. Looking at the charge, Clermont County receives a credit from the Health Action Council, and that is at $5 per member per year, with the total allowance of being $11,200. This amount is sufficient to cover this diabetes management program, so it would be no additional cost to the county. Another program when it comes to pharmacy is the Orphan Drug Management Program. And this is another new program through Optum Rx. Essentially, orphan drugs are fast tracked to the market. They treat a bunch of rare conditions that are very, very expensive. So these drugs have an average cost of about $147,000 per year. Fortunately, there are no members at the county who are currently taking an orphan drug, but we certainly want to get ahead of this and be proactive for when that situation does evolve and making sure we have a program in place to help manage and support that member. What this program would do would provide one-on-one counseling and clinical intervention for members taking one of those expensive orphan drugs. It's essentially similar to the diabetes management program where we provide a concierge service and ensuring that they have the education and have the support they need when taking that medication. This is going to be $300 per year for an engaged member. As I mentioned, there's no members of the county who are currently taking this. If we do want to implement that Health Action Council $5 per member per year amount would be sufficient to pay for this program as well. So fortunately, both of these programs that we are suggesting as plan enhancements would be covered and subsidized through the Health Action Council. All right, so to just recap everything we did discuss, I know there's been a lot of information shared. Overall, we wanted to provide a summary of, through the conversations we've had with HR and the Healthcare Advisory Committee, what we do want to recommend to the board today. The first thing is to continue with United Healthcare and Optum Rx's medical and pharmacy administration. To provide you some information and update on Rx rebates, the anticipated rebates for 2021 have increased to a minimum guarantee of a little over $1 million and will help offset total projected costs. We wanted to include that because that number has updated since our last correspondence. Plan designs, we would recommend changing the current high deductible health plan structure to that 90-10% coinsurance after that deductible is met. As we discussed, the deductible and out-of-pocket maximum would remain the same. It would just be how that individual gets to that out-of-pocket maximum. We would also recommend implementing that diabetes management and orphan drug program, essentially because it will help with overall lifestyle and medication adherence, but it also would not cost the county anything with that credit we're receiving from the Health Action Council. We would recommend implementing United Healthcare's Quit for Life tobacco cessation program, which would also be subsidized by that United Healthcare's Wellness Dollar credit of $50,000. Contribution-wise, we would recommend continuing the primary care physician discount. Currently, that's a $10 credit per month if an individual goes and sees their PCP. I know we discussed the tobacco surcharge, but we do think it would be a great option to increase that from $10 a month to $50 a month to align more within benchmark and encourage that healthy behavior. We would also recommend continuing those health savings account contributions in 2021. I think that is the end of my presentation. I'm not sure if there's any other questions.
Board, any questions for
No
Allison?
questions. Thank you.
I have none.
Allison, thanks for being here with us this morning, and thanks for, giving us that presentation on the healthcare renewal. It's good to hear that the Healthcare Advisory Council obviously has been involved with that from the very start. So I know you've had a lot of feedback, along this period to get to here. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you so much. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Tom, any other presentations this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before we start with the consent agenda, I just wanted to, I know we have a new poster up here in the boardroom this morning. It's a poster that is for disabled American veterans, and it came to us from our chapter number 63 for DAV. You see that? Just to touch on it a little bit. It is for National POW and MIA Recognition Day, which is coming up Friday, September the 18th. For those of you that don't know, the National POW and MIA Recognition Day was established in 1979 through a proclamation that then was signed by Jimmy Carter. Since then, each subsequent president has issued an annual proclamation commemorating the third Friday in September as National POW and MIA Recognition Day. A national level ceremony is held on every National POW and MIA Recognition Day. Traditionally, it's held at the Pentagon, and it features members from each branch of military service and includes high-ranking officials of the government. In addition to the national level ceremony, observances at National POW and MIA Recognition Day are held across the country on military installation ships, at sea, state capitals, schools, and veterans facilities. No matter where they're held, the National POW and MIA Recognition Day ceremonies share the common purpose of honoring those who were held captive and returned, as well as those who remain missing today. Since 1999, the POW and MIA accounting community has created a poster commemorating National POW and MIA Recognition Day. This 2020 edition poster that you see up now continues to honor that tradition. I just wanted to recognize that coming up here very quickly. And for those who have returned, welcome home. And for those who are still missing, our prayers are with your families. Any comments, board?
None, thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on with our regular agenda. Consent agenda. Consent agenda has been prepared for you. I know you've had the opportunity to have it early and review it. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda for further conversation or discussion today?
None.
None.
Hearing none, then I would request a motion for approval of the consent agenda as provided.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda starts on page 5 with item number 12. It's a recommendation that the Board of Commissioner,
Sorry. Non-consent.
non-consent, I'm sorry. Non-consent agenda number 12. Board of County Commissioners, resolution number 151-20 for payment of bills. Recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 151-20 resolving to approve payment and vendors in the revised total amount of $960,526.34 as set forth in the BCC approval invoice report for the checks dated September 16th, 2020. BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and/or the procurement card transaction report as presented by the county auditor on 9/15/2020, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants for the same pursuant to section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Do I have a motion to approve 151-20 for payment of bills?
I make a motion, we approve our payment of the bills.
I'll second the motion.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 13.
Good morning. This is Connie Tibby with the Department of Job and Family Services. Item number 13 is the recommendation of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize Timothy Dick, the Director of Department of Job and Family Services, to execute an Ohio Department of Job and Family Services Title 4E Child Placement Agreement and addenda thereto, consisting of amendment numbers 1 through 3, by and between the County of Clermont, Ohio, and LifeStart Incorporated, located in Gahanna, Ohio, for the provision of a specialized and traditional foster care services for children referred by the Department of Job and Family Services and/or Clermont County Juvenile Court at the rates outlined therein. It's effective October the 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified therein, and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order in concert with requisition number 4186-00 dated August 13th, 2020, relative thereto.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or questions for Connie? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 14.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning. Craig Reisner, County Engineer's Office. Item number 14 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to award a bid for project number 111651 relative to a 2020 road resurfacing project phase 1 located in various townships. Pursuant to the plans and specifications, therefore, to Barrett Paving, Middletown, Ohio, for their lowest and best bid received on 8/13/2020 in the amount of $2,206,280.64, and to execute the contract relative thereto, pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth therein, and the aforestated award of bid, contingent upon release of the required purchase order, requisition number 00004208-00 dated 8/14/2020.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Greg, while I have you on here, just to ask, I know previously, a lot of times when we go out for paving contracts, we have teamed with local townships for to help them, obtain competitive pricing. Does this particular award include that also?
No, this bid does not include a township addition.
Okay.
Next year's contract will include the townships.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything else, board? A roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Item number 15.
Item 15 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to execute record plat number 6293232 for the following subdivision in Batavia Township, and to further execute a combined performance and maintenance bond, as well as a performance bond for sidewalks. This is Derby Place subdivision, section 2A, located in Batavia Township. The performance bond is $39,000. The maintenance bond is $10,000. And the sidewalk bond is $44,440.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Item number 16.
Item 16 is a recommendation of Jeremy Evans, County Engineer, with concurrence of Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to execute record plat number 6293233 for the following subdivision located in Miami Township, and to further execute a combined performance and maintenance bond, as well as a performance bond for sidewalks. This is Miami Mills of Miami subdivision, section 3, located in Miami Township. The performance bond is $42,000. The maintenance bond is $10,000, and the sidewalk bond is $44,840.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 16. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Item number 17.
Good morning, I'm Lyle Bloom, Director with the Water Resources Department, and item 17 is a recommendation to accept the contract between Clermont County and Ford Development Corporation out of Cincinnati. This is for project number 6401-60153 relative to the State Route 28 water main replacement Buckbeat to Branch Hill Guinea project located in Miami Township, as complete as of May 22nd, 2020. And to approve the application and certification for payment number 5, which is the final and represents a progress payment in the amount of $7,066.94 and the release of retainage in the principal amount of $35,047.84, plus all accrued interest earned thereon, and further authorize the county auditor to issue the total of aforestated reference payments, therefore subsequent thereto.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 17. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved, received a second. Any further discussion for Lyle? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Item number 18.
Number 18 is going to be me. It's a recommendation myself with the concurrence of Mr. Eigel to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute Addendum 1, identified as Financial Settlement Services, Election and Information, to the Sellers Agreement with Gov Deals Incorporated, located in Montgomery, Alabama, previously ratified by the board on April 8, 2009, electing for Gov Deals Incorporated to collect all proceeds due to the county from winning auction bidders, and then remit the remaining proceeds to the county effective upon execution, with all other items, terms, and conditions thereof to remain in full force and effect.
Board, you've heard the reading of an item number 18. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Greg, this is a change in how we have previously done auctions here in Clermont County.
Correct.
I know we previously had done sheriff's auctions. Is that correct?
This is for the Gov Deals. This is for when we sell obsolete equipment. So what they had to do was come to the auditor's office, get a requisition, go to the treasurer's office to pay it in, and then go all the way back to wherever the auction was held. This will be a one-stop shop where they can pay for it through Gov Deals and just come and get it.
Will we still be doing sheriff's auctions at this point? We will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still will.
Or
It's
just Gov
obsolete
Deals.
equipment.
Okay. Okay. Anything further, board?
No.
Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Item number 19.
Good morning. I'm Pam Havercuss with Clermont County Emergency Management Agency. Item number 19 is a recommendation of Greg Bickford, Assistant County Administrator, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize Pam Havercuss, the Director of the Clermont County Emergency Management Agency, to submit and execute the grant application and subrecipient grant agreement number 84542 for funding through the Ohio Emergency Management Agency for the fiscal year FY 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in the amount of $91,780.53 with a required local match of $91,780.53 to be provided from the general fund for a total program budget amount of $183,561.06 for the operation of the Clermont County Emergency Management Agency, effective for the performance period of October 1st of 2019 through September 30th of 2021, pursuant to the terms and conditions set forth therein and in compliance with the federal fiscal year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant, local guidance relative thereto.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 19. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further questions for Pam? Pam, it's good to see you this morning. It's been a while since you've joined us here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. Hearing nothing further, roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thanks, Pam. Item number 20.
Item 20 is a recommendation of Dan Otkey, and Dan is the superintendent of the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities, to appoint Jeff Weir to serve on the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities to succeed the unexpired term of Dr. Kim Brady, pursuant to and in compliance with Section 5126.022 of the Ohio Revised Code. That term will be 9/16/2020 through 12/31/2021.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 20 by a recommendation by Dan Otkey to appoint Jeff Weir to the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? I think Dan will Jeff will do a fantastic job. No doubt about that.
Yep.
Hearing nothing else, Holly, roll call.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 21.
That's going to be me. Recommendation to reappoint Richard Farr, attorney, to serve on the Board of Building Appeals for the County of Clermont, Ohio, thereon for a second term beginning 10/1/2020 through 9/30/2025, pursuant to Section 307.381A of the Ohio Revised Code and in compliance with Section 110 of the Residential Code of Ohio for 1, 2, and 3 family dwellings.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 21. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further comments or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 22.
Yvonne. It's gonna be
Yvonne,
Yvonne.
here
She's
she is.
there.
Not there?
Yeah.
She was on earlier.
I'll take care of it. 22 is a recommendation of Vaughn Smith, Benefits Coordinator, with the concurrence of Sandy Tahat, the Human Resources Administrator, to authorize Commissioner Painter, President of the Board, to execute a tuition assistance application submitted by Taylor Dotson for participation in the Clermont County Tuition Assistance Program pursuant to Section 412 of the Clermont County Personnel Policy and Procedures Manual.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 22. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. That concludes our presented agenda for today. Currently, Tom, at item F, do we have any additions to the agenda at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay,
You have a hearing at 11.
we do.
Recess till 11.
Yep. So board, I would request that we recess this Board of Clermont County Commissioners meeting on September 16th, 2020 until 11 a.m. At such time, we will be entering for a public hearing on the proposed vacation of a portion of Poplar Street situated within Miami Township. Do I have a motion to recess?
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
aye.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes, we are recessed until 11 a.m. You're at 11 o'clock. Okay, David. Board, I'd like to call this meeting from recess back into our regular session so that we may proceed with a public hearing on the proposed vacation. No, we may proceed with a public hearing for Poplar Street. Okay?
It's a vacation.
Yep. So we are back in session, and today is the date and the time and location for the public hearing on the request to vacate a portion of Poplar Street, T-1126 in Miami Township. If anyone present is not signed in, if you would please do so. Greg, could you check the room next door? Just make sure there's no one here for this meeting. Okay. We'll start with the county engineer's report. I understand Craig Reisner, our deputy surveyor, is here with us today. Craig?
Good morning, Craig Reisner, County Engineer's Office. Today we have a proposed vacation for a portion of Poplar Street, Township Road 1126, located in Miami Township. The total area of the proposed vacation is 0.1721 acres. Per your request, I reviewed provided plat and description containing a petition received by the Board of Commissioners on 7/1/2020. The petition requests vacating a portion of Poplar Street, Miami Township. Poplar Street is a dedicated right-of-way, not improved, as it appears in Plat Book B, page 51 of the Clermont County Recorder's Office. This plat was recorded as the 5th addition to Miamiville in June of 1880. Clermont County Engineer's Office received a certified copy of Miami Township Trustees Resolution 2020-18, which is in support of the vacation, and this is a requirement now of ORC 5553.04 that the township provides a resolution in support before the commissioners can move forward with the vacation. Proposed vacation will not reduce Miami Township ODOT road mileage certification, nor will it create any landlocked parcels. If the Board of County Commissioners approve the vacation, a Mylar copy of the vacation plat will be required. So this is a 50 feet wide by 150 foot long strip. There was a survey provided and prepared by McGill Smith Punch and Design. At the engineer's office, we did not receive any correspondence in favor or in opposition to the vacation. We had a viewing today at 9 a.m. Commissioner Painter, Commissioner Corcoran, and Commissioner Humphrey were in attendance, as well as one resident of Poplar Street, Doug Scott, and he was in favor of the vacation.
Thanks, Craig. And just to reiterate, this meeting is being held pursuant to Chapter 5553 of the Ohio Revised Code. You've heard the proposed vacation. Is there any proponent testimony here today to request to vacate a portion of this? None? Then we'll move to opponent testimony. Is there anyone here that opposes the vacation? Hearing none. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment or request to vacate this portion of Poplar Street referred to as T-1126 in Miami Township? Holly, have you received any record or any correspondence relative to the request to vacate?
We have not, sir.
Okay. Hearing no opponent or proponent testimony, then I'll open the floor one more time for any comments about this vacation prior to closing this public hearing. Hearing none, then I'd close the public hearing. If subsequent to this public hearing, the Board of County Commissioners wants to proceed with this request, then there has been a resolution prepared. So I will go ahead and close this meeting, and then we will ask for additions to the agenda here a little later. Hearings closed. Okay. So I'll move on with the agenda. Additions to the agenda. Tom, are there any additions to the agenda?
Commissioners, I ask you to consider a resolution to vacate a portion of Poplar Street in Miami Township and add that to the agenda.
Okay. Board, you've heard the recommendation to add an item to the agenda that's for Resolution 152-20 for a determination to vacate a portion of Poplar Street. Do I have a motion to add that to the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly?
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. Then the added item has been added to the agenda. Tom, would you do the honors by reading?
I'll take care of that, sir.
Okay, Holly, I'm
It
sorry.
is the recommendation to adopt resolution number 15220, determining to vacate a portion of Poplar Street, Township Road 1126 in Miami Township, Clermont County, Ohio, as described therein pursuant to and in compliance with section 5553.04 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Board, you've heard the reading of resolution number 152-20. Do I have a motion for approval to vacate a portion of Poplar Street in Miami Township?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly?
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Aye.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes. With the disposition of that item, are there any other additions to the agenda today? Okay. Then I would move to H. Item H, I'm requesting an executive session pursuant to section 121-22 of the Ohio Revised Code to consider confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, or personal financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance or for negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance. A, the information is directly related to a request for economic development assistance that is to be provided or administered under the provisions of Chapter 1724 or Section 5709.73 to 5709.75 or 5709.77 to 5709.81 of the Ohio Revised Code, or that involves public infrastructure improvements for the extension of utility services that are directly related to an economic development project, respectively. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
Make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and received a second. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey,
Humphrey. Yes. Humphrey,
Commissioner
yes.
Painter.
Yes. We will move to executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business. Thank you. We have returned from executive session. There were no actions taken and no decisions made. We will move on with the agenda. I'll ask one last time, are there any additions to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll move to I, county elected official discussion. Any county elected official discussions today, Tom? Any updates or?
We have some county staff discussions.
We have
Sure.
Mr. McNamara here to talk about the business initiative program that's going on here.
Thank you, Commissioners. Michael McNamara with the Department of Community and Economic Development. So I've spoken with you a couple of times before regarding the Small Business Relief Initiative. When originally we earmarked $200,000 for the initiative, assuming that we were going to have a large number of interested parties, we put a large number of restrictions so that it would be easy to weed out what we anticipated would be high interest. So to date, and yesterday at 4:30 is when we closed our first round deadline, we have 57 applications for a total requested amount of $162,500. Of those, only $52,500 is eligible under our current guidelines. So I went back to the prosecutor's office and requested to find out what we would need to do to modify our restrictions. And he asked me to send him some restrictions. So the restrictions that I would like to reduce include the following: allowing newer businesses to apply, but they still must demonstrate that they were operational before January 1st of this year. The previous date was January 1st of 2019. So this still precedes the pandemic or the acknowledgement of the pandemic as a public health issue. Raising the gross receipts cap from $1 million to $2 million. So that will allow still small businesses of under 50 or under employees to participate, but the receipts cap is just raised. And then allowing businesses who have received other relief funding, and this is the big one, because a lot of businesses have applied for other relief funding. It would allow businesses who have received other relief funding to still receive this funding as long as the eligible expenses, so the receipts that we'll be reimbursing, were not previously paid for with other relief funding. So the relief that we're giving has to be for receipts that haven't previously been covered. And I think that will allow for almost all of the $162,000 that has been applied for to date to be released. And then we will, if this is agreeable, we would remarket it out until the end of this month and still be able to encumber per the requirements of the CARES Act, encumber this before the middle of December and then spend it before, October, and then spend it before December.
Okay.
And then I presented these changes to the prosecutor's office for review, and they indicated that these are acceptable program changes and do not necessitate a formal vote to the commissioners. But I'm here to inform you that this is what we'd like to do. And then my goal is to make these changes immediately if possible and to market the initiative again through the same channel as we previously did in order to generate additional applications.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is there anything we need to do as far as requesting a change to this program, since I believe weren't all the salient features of that program read into the record?
Yeah, let's do, I think the board would need a motion for it to be agreeable with those changes.
Me too.
And we would
Should we go ahead, should we address that now, or should we go ahead and prepare one and then have it?
Let's take a look at, I think you want to make, when do you want to remarket this, Mike?
Today if possible.
Okay.
Well, what we can do is we can remarket it if you want, with expecting that the changes might be
When we
forthcoming.
bring back the documents to the board next Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Do that.
In the
We'll address it.
meantime,
We'll address it then in formal
Yes.
session.
Sure.
Okay. Because I would address it now, but I really don't, know each change that we're going to make. So,
Do that.
okay.
I'm comfortable with that.
That work, Michael?
yes, sir.
Michael could read it into the record as what changes he recommends. It's already been read into the record, what changes he recommends. We could have a motion to approve those as stated.
Now, you mean?
Yes, now, I think we could do it now. They can transcribe what he intended, bring that into bullet points and. I think-
Aren't you gonna make this like a formal revision to that program?
No,
It's just the requirements. Not the offices.
I'll make a motion, we approve the revisions that Mike talked about in the discussion just now.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, could we consider this Amendment 1 to the Small Business Initiative?
That's what I would say.
Okay, if we could refer that to as Amendment 1 to the Small Business Initiative.
Refer it as Amendment 1 is my motion.
Same thing Holly's saying. It's just your amendment 1.
Okay.
All you're doing is acknowledging the changes because you've authorized staff to administer the program, and they are. And
So then let's do this. Let's, Ed, if you'll withdraw your motion for a second.
Sure.
That acceptable?
Yep.
Then we'd entertain a resolution for Amendment 1 of the CARES Act Small Business Program. Michael, if you would read the actual changes, go over those changes again for the
Yes, sir.
record.
I'll read it exactly. On number 3 of the Small Business Relief Initiative that I previously entered into the record, it will now read, have been operational since January of 2020 instead of 2019.
Okay.
On number 4, have less than 2 million in gross revenue receipts on an annual basis instead of 1 million. And I will submit a red line as well as a corrected document for staff.
Okay.
On number 5, must have experienced a decrease in gross revenue receipts of 35% or more due to COVID-19 when comparing March 1 through July 31, 2019 revenue receipts to revenue receipts for March 1, July 31st, 2020. This can be evidenced by financial information records, including at a minimum bank statements. This criteria is not, and this is the addition, this criteria is not required for businesses who have started operations after March 1st, 2019.
Okay.
So that allows for the newer businesses.
To apply.
Yes, sir. Under number 7, has eligible expenses that have not been paid by federal, I'm sorry, let me restate that. Has eligible expenses that have not been paid by another federal assistance program or initiative for lost revenue or expenses arising from the pandemic. So eligible expenses, meaning before it was if they received any money from a different program, then they weren't eligible. Now, if we want to make sure they have eligible expenses that have not been covered by another program. And then on number 8, has not been approved for a business interruption insurance claim as a result of COVID-19. And here's the addition, for eligible expenses in this initiative. So again, making sure that we're not double reimbursing any small business for an expense that they've already received money for.
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of Mr. McNamara's potential resolution or amendment number 1 to the CARES Act Business Grant Program. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
And I will second that motion.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call. Well, first of all, let's go back. Let's go back.
I'll make a motion that we add that to the agenda.
Right. You've heard the suggestion. Ed, I'm going to ask you to amend your motion to add it to the agenda.
My motion is to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
I will second that addition.
It's been moved and received a second to add it to the agenda, the Small Business Grant Program. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. And now I'd ask for a motion for approval of the amended changes in amendment number 1 for the Small Business CARES Act Grant Program to be considered for approval. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
It's been moved and received a second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Aye.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Sorry about that. Made it more difficult than what it really needed to be.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
We have the spreadsheet that I provided to each of you regarding the CARES Act funds. Those are for both rounds of CARES Act funds, so that's about $2.3 million.
Okay.
So the Finance Committee broke down that funding into 4 parts. And so I think you can see basically strategy 1 is just reimbursement of current expenses. So we allocated about $1.2 million to that strategy, and we have about $281,000 available. So that will help us through the next couple of months. The second strategy, which is something Greg and I want to talk to you about, is benefiting the outside county agencies. So with the Small Business Relief Initiative, we've added $300,000 to that. So that is $500,000 now. And then there are some other counties that are providing some money to schools for hotspot locations for students who are participating in remote learning. So I'll let Greg kind of hit on that real quickly before we get to the utility payment program.
So it looks like some other counties have been taking some of this CARES money and pushing it towards some rural districts where they may not have the broadband infrastructure. They're doing online learning. They're providing hotspots via various wireless carriers. Whether it's hotspots, it may even be an internet connected tablet that the students could have available to them. And this money would go to the schools potentially to provide that to their students. What we don't know is what kind of demand there would be here in Clermont County. I think for the most part, most of our districts are back, but there is some remote learning going on still. So that's a potential opportunity if you chose to push the funds that way. That's certainly a possibility that would allow. And now there's a lot of details that would have to be worked out, but it could certainly enhance some of the online learning that's going on.
And do I understand correctly from what I've read that as a county, if you haven't spent all these funds, that you can also, and I use the term, I know that's not the term they use, but you can gift them to another qualified agency, such as a school system or another county or.
That I don't know. The only thing that I'm understanding is the local jurisdictions, that money would come back to the county, then we be redistributed at October 15th. And then any funds that aren't spent at that time by December all go back to the state. That's my current understanding.
I had just understood from reading some stuff from the state that money can be not gifted, but reassigned to a qualifying agency that qualifies.
Okay. I can check into that.
Okay.
To make sure.
And that might be something we really want to take a look at because, let's just say we decided to make money available to school systems. There might be some school systems that would want to use that money for a hotspot. There might be other school systems that need it for reimbursement of laptops that they provided to students. I wouldn't know what their exact needs are.
And we haven't come up with the parameters of that program yet.
Okay.
This is more of just a placeholder for some funds for that purpose. Probably have to come back to the board and say, this is the specific program and this is what we're going to offer. We do know there's a county out there that is doing it, so we can pull some of their paperwork to see.
It would be nice to further kind of delve down into that, because if that is a possibility, there might be some agencies out there that can commit these funds and actually use them when we would have had to return them to the state. Yeah. Okay.
And the other is about $25,000 to assist residents with their utility payments. But we're still checking into that program. Right now, it looks like it's just for gas and electric costs. And we have to just be careful with reimbursing publicly owned utilities with the CARES money. So we're going to look into that a little bit further, but that's another possibility. And then just our long-term capital investment for the county. We have the iWave system that we've been installing throughout the county. And we have some thermal imaging cameras that we already have, but we've purchased additional that if we want to deploy, we can. And then Greg, you want to talk about the e-review for planning?
Yeah, so the e-review software is actually an add-on to the existing building department software that allows for electronic submittals to be reviewed paperlessly, and the submission is paperlessly. And it goes well beyond just submitting a PDF. These are actual official drawings, and the comments and markings on the drawings are done in an official manner where it's compliant with the building code. And so this will allow true electronic submittals. We have it set up now where you can do a lot of self-service on your permit. If it's an HVAC permit or some other small type of permit, those can all be 100% electronic. But the problem is once you start dealing with stamped drawings, it gets into a different level of review. And this software would allow for our building department to take everything in electronically, from inspections to plan review to commenting to changes. There's no more swapping out of paper because it's all touchless and electronic.
So Greg, that reduces the contact between the building department personnel and the public. And so that's why we think it's a worthy CARES Act funded program.
Okay.
And then finally, four, it's just we have some balance available for salaries, and that primarily we think that will go to our public safety personnel for reimbursement. So we can always fall back on that because I believe that's eligible expense as well. Keep in mind, this is just the first two rounds. We also have the potential that Mary Raines talked about for an additional $7 million. So we're working on that right now to make sure that we have a plan in place to.
And that's $7 million to the county and $7 million to.
Yes, sir. It's $14 million total to Clermont County.
Okay.
So we'll get some more information back when we develop these programs, and we'll bring it back to the board.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. Any other county staff or elected official discussion? I'll move to J, board member comments. Board members, any comments today? Before we adjourn, just to talk about today in the Clermont County Sun, there's an article there about losing $87 million annually based on current census responses. And one of the things I just wanted to send a plea out that, those who live in Felicity and Shiloh.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you hold on for just one moment?
What was wrong?
Ed drop.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Make sure. Technical difficulty. It's expected.
There he is.
Sorry, I was gone. Broke here at home.
No, I just wanted to talk about that in the Clermont County Sun today. There's an article about the census data and the census responses that we have in Clermont County. And I just wanted to reiterate there that we're at about a 75% census response rate. That sounds like we're doing great, but we have some areas that are performing well below that. Those that live in Felicity, Shiloh, Neville, and Moscow. There continues to be some challenge there. They're around the 62.7% range. If we take the current population that we believe we have here in Clermont County and what we end up with is a 75.7, we could lose $87 million in the next 10-year period before there is a new census. And so one of the things I wanted to say is that if you haven't participated in the census yet here in Clermont County, please, by all means, do so. Your census data is what we and the state depends on to be able to distribute funds, not only statewide, but federally. So that affects your school system and your other services that you have in Clermont County. It would be a shame to not be counted in the census in this type of a proportion, and then not be eligible for $87 million in assistance over the next 10 years. So please participate in the census. If you can, you can participate electronically. And there's also people who come around door to door. So if those people show up at your place, please be cordial to them and get the information to them. Thank you. Anything else, board? Then I would ask for a motion to adjourn. Unless you had a question, Ed, did you have something?
Yeah, my concern is that I walk around and see that people aren't wearing face masks like they had a month ago. And I'm concerned about that. I think that we need to do that. I think that do that.
Okay.
Understood. Obviously, there's still a risk there. We're starting to come down the ladder for a vaccination possibly here. And so, yeah, by all means, use common sense, deploy the PPE that you need to keep you and yourselves and your family safe. Wash your hands like always. You bet. Thanks, Ed. With that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make the motion.
I'll second the motion to adjourn. Roll call, Holly.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Humphrey.
We're losing.
Commissioner Humphrey.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank
Got it.
you.
Got it. Well, with that,
That was
we-
an echo.
with that, we stand in adjournment. Thanks for joining our meeting here for September the 16th, 2020. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you.